that she has to completely replace the tree, which means that she needs to hire people to come dig the tree out, pay for a new tree, pay for it to be planted, and pay for the lawn that will be inevitably torn up as the tree is being replaced. If she does not comply, her house will be put on lien and be no longer considered an extension of our private street. For those that aren't fluent in real estate terms, this means that Karen cannot sell, rent, or refinance her property until said conditions are met. Even if she complies right away, her new tenant will be delayed for at least a week or more while the tree is being dug up. This is just such a sweet and fitting end to her entitled attitude. In total, she will be set back thousands of dollars for essentially nothing except lacking consideration of those
My
around
dad,
her.
love you.
I'm not entirely clear on the costs, but I expect it to be at least $10,000. Moral of the story, don't mess around with trees. They have countless lawsuits and HOA strings attached to them. And don't be a jerk to your neighbors. Edit. I reread my post and decided that I didn't do as good a job as I wanted to explain why this Karen deserved her justice. I forgot to mention that she did flip everyone off and threatened to call a lawyer. She acted really childish overall and kept repeating the same phrase of something like, "You can't touch me, I did nothing wrong," over and over while interrupting people. Her daughter wasn't too much better, but you can't really blame her for trying to
Charlie,
defend her
I'm
mother a
about to
little
get
bit.
out.
She
You
probably
hear?
just didn't understand
You
what her
there,
mother really did.
Charlie?
Her daughter was like, "Stop shouting, don't get aggressive," etc. I'd also like to mention that the trees, yes,
I think
trees, I
made
realized after looking closer at her yard, she cut down were 2 cypress trees and a deciduous tree that grows red seeds in hard pods that I forgot the name of. The cypress trees she cut were towering and magnificent. She trimmed them down halfway and they will never regrow because both are at least 20 years old. Well, what do you think? Was it wrong of Karen to cut down the tree or not? Please let us know. Oh, how I love a good HOA story. The little old couple from heck. My hotel has had a lot of crazy happenings that I've shared before, but holy cow, this has to win an award for one of the most insane things to happen. First off, I want to say take a seat, grab a drink, a snack, maybe a beer, because holy cow, this is a long one. This little old couple, very well-mannered and seemingly just cheeky, came to check in mid-evening. The wife we'll call Karen and the man we'll call Ken. They were celebrating Karen's diagnosis as melanoma-free and decided to take a vacation to our property using Karen's membership points. They made a joke that I would get to know them by the end of their stay. Not wrong there. And immediately asked where the bar was so they could get a few glasses of wine. They went out for dinner after scoping out the bar for about 10 minutes and come back a good 2 to 3 hours later. They ordered 2 glasses of Chardonnay, 1 glass per person, then sat down in the lobby, spending about 15 minutes on those glasses just chatting. I had a few check-ins and was standing at my front desk station around the corner from the bar when Karen started shouting, "Waiter!" requesting another glass. Obviously, I'm not a waiter, and it's annoying when people act like we're a full service or I'm a dog. But nonetheless, I went and got them a second round. I'd say another 10 minutes passed before they asked for a second round. They started joking around about their marriage and being cheeky old people. I didn't think much of it. Going back to my pod and going back about 15 minutes later with their third round. They started getting really inappropriate around that time, so I told my coworker I was going to cut them off. On their fourth and final round, Ken blatantly states, "We're thinking of getting it on tonight," and then proceeds to go on a big spout of nonsense which gets Karen pretty angry at him, telling him to shut up. I made sure to make them both aware they were not receiving any more drinks. About a good 20 minutes pass and my coworker, we'll call him B, and I were on the phones at the desk, working on 2 separate guest issues. I happened to turn around and saw Karen lying on the floor. I immediately went over to ask what happened and if she was okay. She laughingly explained she fell over one of the lobby chairs. B goes and grabs her a water before asking her if she needed medical assistance, while I grabbed the hotel wheelchair. She declined assistance, but accepted the wheelchair, and out of instinct, I handed B an incident report to get filled out, as it's corporate policy. Now, Ken did not like the idea of his wife answering questions or filling out an incident form without his consent, like it's still the 50s or something. He starts yelling up a storm about, "Nobody talks to my wife but me," or "We ain't signing no BS because we've done nothing wrong." Now, B, who had been understanding as heck and professional as could be, was understandably upset by Ken's ranting. Seeing the proverbial crap show about to go down, B starts giving Ken the verbal smackdown about, "I will have the cops escort you and your stuff out if you do not keep a nice mouth around me." I opted to call the local non-emergency as a precaution. Boy, was I glad I did. Right as I get off the phone with the cops, Ken begins to go on the craziest rant of the century. He straight up grabs B and says, "I bet you like that, don't you?" To which B straight up hit his hand with the clipboard and declared we were going to have to ask them to leave as soon as the cops got here. B comes back to the desk while I'm calling corporate to report the issue and flag their account as a DNR. Ken's still going on his rant for a good 10 minutes. At this time, people are starting to come back from dinner and are passing through watching this old man screaming crazy things at B. While trying to hold B back, I notice that Karen's ankle is very swollen. She tries to get out of the chair while screaming at her husband to shut up and ends up falling again. B tries to go help her up, but Ken starts screaming at him to not come near them and tries to lift his wife himself, ending up falling on top of her. A guest passing through, who's a retired firefighter, came to help pick Karen up and put her back in the wheelchair. He advised we call fire rescue just as a precaution should either guest be hurt. I get on the phone to call 911 and tell them that the guest's ankle is very swollen. B decides to go over and ask if the injury was from the fall or not, while alerting Karen that we called fire rescue anyway as a precaution. She blatantly states the swollen ankle was a pre-existing injury, which I wrote down immediately on my own play-by-play witness report. Ken starts getting agitated with B asking questions and gets up, pushing B into the lobby column while shouting more craziness. B immediately walks away and says to call the cops again because Ken is now drunkenly coming towards the desk and screaming at us. I call 911 to cancel the paramedics and get the police out immediately, but the cops are stuck on a high priority call. Lo and behold, the paramedics still show up, and thank God they did, because honestly, they calmed Ken down with some light conversation and confirmed Karen was